Welcome to RetroLogic. I'm Shannon Eno, and I'm here with John Cummins and Sam Wagers. We are without Dan tonight. This is actually our second attempt at recording this episode. We had some technical difficulties, and so the last time we had Dan, but we did not have John. And now this time we have John, but no Dan. However, Dan said he might try to get on partway through as we're recording, so we'll have to see if he shows up. Otherwise, we will press ahead. So RetroLogic isn't just a podcast, it's also a community of retro gamers. We've got an active, friendly, and free Discord with giveaways, contests, and you can dive deep into our family of retro podcasts like RetroGroove, a music history podcast, which just put out their Album of the Year episode, and On Topic Retro, a podcast dedicated to one video game per episode, hosted by our very own John Cummins, which is also coming back soon. And you can find everything at our website, retrologic.games. It's a brand new designed website, so you can get on there and let us know what you think. Give us any feedback. Dan worked hard on kind of streamlining it and making sure it was useful. So check it out.
Is it still at the same web address? I can't remember if he was able to maintain that.
I think so. We can double check that, but because that's what he said last time.
Okay. I was just making sure before we just directed people to a dead
right.
page.
You checking it?
I think Sam is. I hear him working in the background.
I'm trying to
He's the
find
IT guy.
I think the old URL doesn't work.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, don't go to retrologic.games then, because you might not get to the new one. We will update that.
Yeah, he probably needs to set up a redirect.
Yeah. We'll get that figured out. But if you search for RetroLogic,
you can find us.
You'll be able to find us. You'll find us.
I could throw a link in the show description whenever we get it worked out after this.
Sounds good. So anything exciting that we want to share this from the last week or two?
I found a complete copy of Knuckles Chaotix for 32X at my local shop for the price of a loose.
That is amazing.
That was exciting.
Absolutely.
I shared this in the Discord, but I have been a step closer to completing the set of Armored Core games. As of right now, I don't intend to completely collect every one, but I want to collect through Gen 3 at a minimum, so I'm missing 2 more. One for the PS1, one for the PS2.
So which one are you missing for PS2?
Master of Arena for the PS1 and Ninebreaker for the PS2.
Okay. I just bought 3 for PS2.
Yeah, 3's solid. Silent Lion is where I got in, and that's the direct sequel to 3. So it's like a personal favorite of mine.
Nice.
Excellent. All right, moving on. A little bit of housekeeping. We mentioned the new website. If you listened to the last episode and you made it through like the 4 hours of us doing the Game of the Year, thank you for listening. Those are always a lot of fun. We all look forward to those, but they are long episodes. So we don't take it personally if you listen to them at double speed if you need to.
Or take breaks.
But if you haven't checked it out, you should. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time, and sometimes we make Dan just about cry, but in a fun way.
Yeah, Dan doesn't like RPGs that much.
No. And speaking of which, we did have 2 ties, so we put them to the community for the best PC game of 1995. So if you're not familiar with our Game of the Year, we always do what we call Game of the Year 30. So we look back at 30 years ago. So instead of doing the modern games of 2025, we did best games of 1995. And we had a tie on a couple of categories. The first one was Best PC Game, and that came down to Warcraft II and Command and Conquer. And that was the community came out for Warcraft II. So that is officially our Game of the Year, PC Game of the Year. And then in a very close vote that went back and forth and was tied for a long time, for the actual Game of the Year, when we recorded, we had a tie between Chrono Trigger and Donkey Kong Country 2. And I really thought Donkey Kong Country stood a chance there for a little bit. And then at the last minute, Chrono Trigger overtook it. So Chrono Trigger is our Game of the Year 30, which I'm not surprised. And it's not like I feel like it's undeserved. I did vote for Donkey Kong Country 2, as I believe Sam did.
It's a little bit expected, but also unexpected because Donkey Kong Country 2 won the Community Game of the Year.
True.
So when people had the whole list,
people didn't vote.
When people had the whole list of all games, Donkey Kong Country 2
Yes.
was getting more votes. When they're forced to pick between just those two, of course, I don't know that the exact same set of people voted in both. So.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Might have had some
different
new
people could have
voting,
voted. Yeah. I just think it's funny that they were tied up again for a long time in the community even, and then Dan put out one more call to break the tie, and then everyone just voted Chrono Trigger after that.
Yep. Yep. Obviously, two very incredible games. It's hard to pick. The 1995 was an incredible year for games, as it turns out.
Yeah,
there was a lot of great games on the Super Nintendo, and the PlayStation 1 is just starting to warm up. So it'd be interesting going forward. Seeing
97's a big year for PlayStation.
97 is going to be a really big year, yeah.
And 64.
Yeah, true.
We're about to enter the age of 64.
Yeah, next year
too.
will be 64. Get
Yeah,
ready for Mario
already.
64 to sweep a bunch of awards.
Yes. All right. Well, guys, should we jump into Prices Retro?
Yes.
Let's do it.
If this is your first time playing Prices Retro, here's how we play. I'm going to list off 4 or 5 games, and everyone has to guess how much the lot is worth in total. Whoever is closest to the actual value wins that round. Everyone has a list, and everyone guesses on each other's list. At the end, the player that won the most rounds wins the episode, but watch out for the robot. Let's see if I can say it. Guess Machina. I don't know why I have a hard time saying that. Anyway, he averages up all of our guesses together for his own guess. Then we have the Dinosaur Leonard, who adds up the original cost, the retail value cost. And our Ghost Poltergeist, I almost misspoke that one too, always guesses 300. So that is the Rampage that we have to fight, the RetroLogic Rampage monsters that we have to defeat. We had to come up with some new lists here since we, like I said, already did the episode once. But I will just say that, and I say that just to let you know that Dan did win when we recorded this the first time. But now it's all up for the air because it doesn't count.
It was also a total human victory too. There were no wins by the NPCs.
Correct. Yeah, Sam and I each won a round, and then Dan won 2 rounds. We did have Flightsy's list, so
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, Flightsy, thank you very, very much.
None of us came close, by the way.
None of us came even close. But Dan was by default the closest. And so we do appreciate that, Flightsy, and we look forward to more lists from you. We always appreciate it. All right. So, John, do you want to go first?
Sure. My list is a list of PlayStation 2 games that I just purchased today. as I mentioned earlier, the first game, these are all complete in box, by the way. The first game is Armored Core 3. The second game is Jade Cocoon 2. The third game is Ephemeral Fantasia. And the fourth game is Chaos Wars. These are all PS2 and all complete.
All right. Sam, you want to go first?
Sure. I've got $148.
Okay.
And I have, just finishing adding up, I have $190.
Okay.
Boy, this is something that actually that robot has a good chance of if it's right in between us.
Oh, what was yours one more time, Shannon?
190.
190. Okay. So, let me make sure the 200. Okay, so the Sam is going to take this one. The total value of my lot is $125.83.
Oh, I was way over on something.
So the breakdown of my list, Armored Core 3 for the PlayStation 2 complete in box is $36.10.
Oh, I was very close on that one.
Yeah, I wasn't too far off on that one.
The second game here.
I keep my eye on those prices because I'm still collecting them, even though that's one I have.
The second game on my list here, Jade Cocoon 2 for the PlayStation 2 complete in box, $49.95. The next game is Ephemeral Fantasia for the PlayStation 2 complete in box, $19.99.
Oh, okay.
That's the one I had no clue. So I highballed that because I'm like, that sounds like an RPG or something. So
It is an RPG, but it's actually the problem with a lot of the PS2.
There's a lot of them.
Era, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are like, this is when NIS was starting to get in the game, so there's a lot of like really low valued RPGs. The last game on my list, Chaos Wars for PlayStation 2 complete in box, $19.79. It's almost right in that same value.
Wow.
But yeah,
all right.
I brought all these today.
Nice. Well done, Sam.
All right. The Dino was at 200. That's why I was seeing how close.
All right. I will go next then, I guess. And I've been picking a Nintendo console and choosing some well-known games from it and seeing how close everybody gets. So I'm doing Nintendo 64 games. It's a completely different list than I tried to do last time, but that's all right. So these are all Nintendo 64 games, and they are all complete in box, just to make it a little more interesting. All right. First game is Mario Kart 64. Next game is Donkey Kong 64. Third game is Majora's Mask, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This is the regular edition, not the collector's edition. Because that's just insane. The fourth game is Paper Mario. And the last game of the lot is Rayman 2, The Great Escape.
You said these are all what condition?
All complete.
All complete. Ooh.
Yep, just to make it a little more interesting.
Let's see.
All right.
Who went
So,
first?
yeah, John.
Sam did, so I go first.
Yep.
Let's see. I think I'm going to go 750.
750. Okay.
Well, I always tend to undervalue the cardboard, but I'm still below John. I've got 625. I'm going to stick with what was in my head already.
All right. So, John will take this round, and he is darn close. The actual value is 745.33.
Dude, that
So,
might come in play when
less than $5 off. Well played. Yeah, it's the cardboard again. The cardboard on these is crazy. I never really thought of the Nintendo 64 to be like a crazy expensive thing unless you, I mean, some of the games. But for the most part,
Daikatana.
Yeah. Right. But as soon as you add in that cardboard, things just blow up. So Mario Kart 64, 133.90, which seems like a lot to me, given the fact that you can play that.
There's a bunch of them too.
Yeah. Yeah, like everybody that had a 64 probably
Everybody
had the game.
Mario 64,
and you know, and it's not like it's hard to find a way to play it on modern systems either. So Donkey Kong 64, $90.16. Majora's Mask, $192.47. The collector's one is insane. It's like you got to add like at least
Zelda fans are dedicated, man.
I have the collector's one, just not complete. I just have the cartridge.
I'm very fortunate that I do have the collector's complete. But yes, Paper Mario is a whopping $250.58.
Yep.
So anybody that thinks just because a game comes to NSO that the games, even that game loose, is quite high.
Well, these games are coming down a little bit.
Yeah.
Paper Mario has always been pretty high.
Yeah. And Rayman 2, The Great Escape, $78.22.
That game's everywhere, though.
Right.
Why?
Another one that's on all systems
on
back
NSO.
then. And it's probably the most expensive version is probably the N64.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Sam.
All right. I have a list this week. All games developed by Tosei, the kind of unsung hero of game development, the largest non-publishing developer. They actually work on a ton of games, and they often don't get credit. It's like this weird point of pride with them that like they actually ask not to be credited on a lot of the games they work on, which is kind of interesting and like honestly mad respect to them, because like a part of their like philosophy is they do a lot of like technical kind of background stuff. And so they work with a lot of other companies and they're like, we don't want to take creative control from you. We just want to help you make the game you want to make. And so they've worked with Nintendo, they've worked with Sega, they worked with Namco, they worked with Square, as we'll see. But so it's actually kind of hard to narrow down the ones we're sure they worked on. Usually it's the earlier stuff.
So, like, what if the game's really bad and you just don't want to be credited?
Well, yeah, that too. That too. But I don't know. So, some of these are, yeah. Anyway, so that's the list. They do vary in condition. I'll specify. We have Demon Sword for the NES. King of Route 66 for the PlayStation 2, which it's a shame Dan isn't here because this is actually the sequel to 18-Wheeler, which was on his backlog thing. So the arcade game was made by Sega, but Tosei did the PS2 port. So Demon Sword for the NES, loose. I don't know if I said loose before.
No, that's what I was going to ask.
King of Route 66 for the PS2, complete. Dino Stalker for the PlayStation 2, complete. Chubby Cherub for the NES, Loose, and last, the legendary Starfy for the DS complete in box. And Starfy is one of the like things they're the most open about. They actually co-own that trademark with Nintendo.
Yeah, I think that's the one that they're most famous for.
Can you just run through one more time?
Demon Sword for the NES, loose. King of Route 66 for the PlayStation 2, complete. Dino Stalker for the PlayStation 2, complete. Chubby Cherub for the NES, loose. And the legendary Starfy for the DS, complete.
Okay.
So I usually do loose for cartridge games because that's how I shop for them.
Right.
Yeah. Shannon, I think you're first this time.
I am going... Let's see here. It looks like I am at 320.
Shoot. I think I'm going to go 140.
Ooh. I just... Those loose NES games, like especially the one, I have no clue. So I went high.
I think John is going to take it. The total is
Nice.
177.97. So I don't know where Leonard is at, but you beat the Ghost, you beat DGM. But the rundown is Demon Sword for the NES, loose, $12.20. King of Route 66 for the PlayStation 2, complete in box, $21.99. Dino Stalker for the PS2, complete, $32.13. The legendary Starfy for the DS, complete, $20.53, and Chubby Cherub for the NES, loose, is $91.12.
Yeah, so I was way over on that first one.
So yeah, I just barely beat Leonard by $10.
Well, you are definitely
close.
the winner. We had a full human victory again, though, so that's always important.
Victory
we fought
for
back the
mankind.
rampage. That's right. But congratulations, John. Well earned. Well earned. I am off. I feel like last year I was doing pretty good. I was winning quite a bit, and I've had a hard time recently. That's all right. So Sam also has a Spot the Fake game for us. It's been a little while since we had those. So Sam, if you could remind us the rules of Spot the Fake.
So Spot the Fake is pretty simple. I'm going to list off some things that are game related, and one of them will be fake. And you guys have to guess what the fake one is. Now, on our first attempt at this episode, I had a very devious list of Mega Man special weapons separated into several rounds for Dan and Shannon to guess. John wasn't here for that, but I have a whole new list anyway, just to keep it all fresh. So instead of testing Mega Man, we're going to test some other game series I'm obsessive about, and we've already mentioned it once this episode, and that's Armored Core. Specifically, if you know anything about Armored Core, and maybe if you've seen things that I've posted over on our friends at Bit Harmony and All In, Armored Core's soundtrack has some very bizarre titles to its track titles. So that's what this Spot the Fake list is. I'm going to list titles of a track for an Armored Core soundtrack, and one of them will be fake, and you have to guess which one.
Oh, wow.
So I have 4 rounds. I went a little easier on you for this one. Each round is only 4 items to guess on. So again, out of all 4, one of them is fake, and the other 3 are real. So we have round 1. Number 1, Monkey Likes Daddy. Number 2, Super Monkey Likes Daddy. Number 3, Daddy Likes Monkey. And number 4, Whiz Drop Nutty. And yes, 3 of these are real.
I'm going to say Super Monkey Likes Daddy is fake.
I am going to do the inverse and say Daddy likes monkey.
Shannon has it right. The fake one is Daddy likes monkey. Super Monkey Likes Daddy is real. That is the Armored Core Nexus arrangement of Monkey Likes Daddy. From Silent Line, I want to say. I did not write those down, so I'm going off memory there. I have 4 rounds, so we got round 2. We'll just go right into it. Round 2. We have number 1, milk. Number 2, morning lemon tea. Number 3, prankish jelly. And number 4, eggs Benedict.
I'm going to go with the tea.
I'm going to go with eggs Benedict.
Okay. We have a tie. John has it correctly this time. Eggs Benedict is the fake. I realized I was writing a breakfast menu there, so I just threw that in. Morning lemon tea is actually like one of my favorites. It's very you should listen to it sometime. Yeah. Round 3. We'll just keep going. It doesn't get any more normal from here. Round 3, we have number 1, cry yourself to sleep. Number 2, the bloody honey cannot stop. Number 3, someone is always moving on the surface. Number 4, set the sunset.
What was the first one again?
Cry yourself to sleep.
I don't know. John, you got a guess?
I think I'm going to go with that one. The first
one. I was actually thinking the first one too.
Okay. You've got it right. That's the fake. The other 3 are actually all from Armored Core for Answer, which for some reason had these very wordy titles for everything.
It's definitely one the milk.
Yes. Milk is also a bop, man. You gotta look that one up too. It's definitely something. Particularly the Armored Core 3 and Silent Line have like a very particular sound that I think hasn't really been around since. Anyway, one more round. Round 4, we have number 1, rough and decent. Number 2, synoptic dope. Number 3, OO parts. And number 4, hoggishness.
I think I'm going to go OO parts.
I might go... What was the last one you said?
Hoggishness.
Oh, hoggishness. I'm going to go with hoggishness.
It is OO parts is the fake.
Wow.
So you did pretty well on this one. Maybe it's because I narrowed it to 4. Maybe I'm not so good at coming up with things that fit in these categories. I don't know. But yeah, shout outs to the Armored Core soundtrack, and Hoshino, I think, is the guy who composes most of those, and his strange naming sensibilities. I got it from the YouTube comment, but I did see that allegedly the apocryphal story of why milk is called milk is because it was inspired by like some jingle he heard at the supermarket. That's plausible enough that I believe it. So
yeah,
I'm
really surprised that we got all of them. Like,
yeah, between the two of us.
No stumper.
Well, that was a lot of fun though. I like that.
Yeah,
thanks,
so
Sam.
New twist on Spot the Fake, just getting really in the weeds on particular things, which can be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. And because we did Spot the Fake, I do not have a trivia card this week. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to jump into some little mini show topics, and then we're going to do a little roundtable style. We each have a game or a topic that we're going to be discussing. So we'll see you after the break. All right, we are back. So we're going to start the show topic. We have a couple pieces of just little mini bit of kind of some news. The first being that GameStop locations started closing across the USA right after the new year, I guess. And this is just kind of seemed like didn't really hear about it in news or anything. It's just people on Discord started talking, oh, my local just like announced they're closing, and like 2 days later the doors were shut and locked and the building was empty. And then it just seemed like, oh yeah, apparently somebody found a list and there were quite a few that closed across the US.
I think GameStop announced like that was their list, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like there was no...
Well, I think they've been slowly shutting stores down for the last like 6 months. I think that's kind of what people had been seeing happen. And then I think GameStop finally would just come out and say, hey, look, all these are going. It was like a massive list.
It just usually you see like any company does this, it makes some kind of news, but maybe that's just the state of our country and the news going on that this didn't even cause even a little bit of a blip. So I know mine, we had two when I first moved up into the town I live in now, and they were about, I don't know, maybe a mile and a half, if that, from each other. One was inside a mall, one was outside of a mall. The one that was outside of the mall was definitely the better of the two, had better trade-ins available. Staff was really good. But they closed down probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Incidentally, my local game store actually moved into that like years later.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I mean, it was
like
several
genius,
other
though.
things, and then it sat empty for a little bit, and then they ended up moving in there, and that's where they're at now. The one inside the mall, they did about 6 months ago. We just all of a sudden there was something on the door that's like, yep, we're closing. And then, that was it. And with the GameStops, you can't go and there's no like closing, going out of business sale or anything like that.
No, they just send it all back.
They just send it all back to corporate. And so if you want anything that they had, well, you can go buy it off their website now, I guess.
Similar to yours, and I don't know, this could be why GameStop closes a lot of stores, because I don't know who is in control of determining where they're going to rent their space from. But I had 4 when I originally moved here, and mine were even worse than yours. Like I had one in a mall, and then there was one outside of the mall, like maybe not even 1,000 feet away. Like
That's
it was
crazy.
across the street from the mall on the south side of our town. And on the north side, it was the exact same situation. There was there's a strip mall, and then there was like a little building that was in the parking lot of the strip mall that had like a Jimmy John's, an AT&T, and a GameStop in it. There was a GameStop in that same strip mall that was in that same parking lot.
I mean,
So
I can kind of see it. Like if I'm doing like pre-order pickups, I probably don't want to go to the one in the mall. Like I don't want to go to the mall just for that. I think the mall location is probably more of a like, can we get people who are browsing or people are here with their family who isn't into games and they just go look at games while, somebody else is looking at something else.
It just seemed really weird that there was 4 GameStops and they were paired like literally 1,000 feet from each other. The one on the north side of our town was maybe not even, it's like a football field away. Like you could walk to it. Like I could park at the one, go browse it, and then just walk across the drive into the next one. But it's one of those things that really made sense. I think when they shut the one in our mall down, and then they shut the one down that was in the little building in the parking lot and left the one in the strip mall. I think they just consolidated those stores. Like I think the one from the mall, just all the stuff moved over to the other location across the road, and same way with the other one. But it just really seemed weird. Like my city that I live in is large enough that they could have kind of spread those 4 out across like a quadrant or so, not
You would think.
right beside each other. But I always laughed because there was, I knew the people at both of them, and we joke around how close they were. He's like, yeah, whatever. It's really convenient whenever somebody wants a game and that location didn't have it, and they check it, and the other one does, and they just walk across the street and get it for them.
Yep.
But yeah, and now I have those 2 left, and the one is like really big, and it has all the retro stuff in it, and
nice.
all the Funko Pops and all the like it's a good size store. And then the one on the north side of town is like a shack that has some things in it.
Yeah, I have plenty of other GameStops and other options near me, but the GameStop closest to me is one of the ones closing. Not too upset, since the last interaction I had with them was trying to pick up Kirby Air Riders on release day, and they literally didn't have it. That's just kind of the state of things now. Like it's unless you pre-order, they don't have anything. Like that's kind of the state of physical games media, really. And GameStop closing is really just downstream of that effect.
Yeah.
It can be hard to find that stuff at any retailer
without pre-ordering,
at least relatively early on. Like they get stuff. Like my Target's really bad about first week or 2. They don't have it, and then it'll show up in the store whenever nobody's looking for it anymore.
That's weird, because I feel like my Target is probably the best. I feel like my Best Buy is that way, where it's you won't find it unless you pre-order it, and they're good about pre-orders. My Best Buy is, but if you don't, it may show up in a couple months. They might have all of a sudden a copy or 2 on the shelf.
Yeah,
but you're probably not going to find it right away unless you pre-order it. But my Target, I feel like they're pretty good about it showing up right away. But then, like, if you wait and they happen to sell out, I feel like it takes a long time. If it ever comes back, it might just sit empty. That spot might just sit completely empty. So, it's kind of crazy. So I guess the lesson is, if you want physical games, you might want to pre-order wherever you go. Unfortunately, and completely understandably, my local shop does not do pre-orders because they just have no way of guaranteeing from their supplier. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but they're usually pretty good about getting stuff in, and they're pretty good about getting some things that are a little more niche that you might not find at a Target.
Yeah.
That are just a little outside of, but, aren't going to be these huge first party stuff. But they're pretty good about like some niche type RPGs and stuff like that. Because they know their audience, they know their customers. So, I can oftentimes find what I'm looking for there if I can't anywhere else, and I didn't think to pre-order in time.
Yeah, Sam's been to my local too, but they're a little wonky. They'll have like the weird occasional like complete in box that they price at a loose price, and then they'll have a case full of LRG games that are way overpriced that they can't sell, and it's like I don't think you get that. Well, they're not a video game store first. They're a media store. They do books and CDs and movies and like the whole thing. So it's kind of different for them.
My local can fix your vacuum.
That's right.
Yeah, that's nice.
One of these days we got to have RetroLogic get together, and we're all going to go to vacuums and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. That'll be our equivalent of like a convention. We'll just be like, hey,
that's right.
Everybody go to vacuums of video games on the 17th.
Vacuums of video games.
That's right. And we may spend just as much money. So there you go.
Take Dan there and he buys a vacuum.
That's right. So anyway, that's kind of the first little bit of news that we had to discuss. Now the nearest GameStop to me is like over 2 hours away. So I don't see myself shopping much through a GameStop anymore. So that's just kind of how it is. The next thing is something I just wanted to throw in here really quick, and that is the SNES operator is now available for pre-order. So those who have been listening to the show for a long time know, way back when I think it was just Sam, were you on at that time, or was it just John and Dan? But
Sam was there.
okay. Friend ended up having some a company on that created something called the GB operator, and you guys had them on and to kind of do a little interview. And the GB operator was I don't know how's the best way to describe it. Basically, it's a way to use your cartridge. It's almost like a cartridge slot that you can attach to your PC. And it can read your games. It can tell you if it's a fake repo or not. Anyway, it's a nice little piece of hardware, and they have now just announced that their next bit of hardware is something that will do the same thing with your Super Nintendo games.
Yeah, they announced that a while ago. I'm kind of wondering if they didn't run into some issues trying to make it compatible with all the different chips that come in.
Yeah.
Because with Game Boy, you don't have to worry about that. Super Nintendo architecture is a little bit more complicated per game cartridge, because you had all the different chips that could do different things for different games.
Usually you see, like, with emulators and stuff, they list, like, we got Yoshi's Island to work as like a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. But no, we did have Epilogue, or a representative from Epilogue company. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was a really good interview. I feel like we learned a lot going through that with them, kind of the ins and outs, what they look for when they're developing and whatnot. And I think at that point in time, man, that might have been like 21 or 22 when we did that. I think they had just started working on the SNES.
Yeah.
And they couldn't really share much on it at the time. And then, now it's been 3 years and it's just now coming out. So like I said, I think they must have ran into some hiccups along the way trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
They work nice, though.
They work, really, really nice. So this was, I think John noticed first that there were pre-orders available, posted on our Discord. Another reason why you want to be on our Discord, right? For this kind of stuff. And there were quite a few of us who immediately went to the website and pre-ordered as well. So this is really nice also because you can take your game, put it on there, and it will download your saves as well. So, and you can play right on your PC, and then you can load back a save right back onto your cart. So if, though, your battery dies and you happen to have a save, this is a nice way to make sure your saves are backed up before your battery dies. Yep. or while you're changing out a battery.
Yep.
So
it's also it's a plug and play device that they've developed their own software for. So
yes,
you just go download it and it runs, like you don't have to set it up.
Nope.
You just plug it in and you play. It's pretty phenomenal.
And I was just seeing, it looks like it's even compatible with the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I think that if you look through their patch notes and things, they've updated the Game Boy operator so many times.
Yeah.
They've added so many things, even down to like the ability to adjust the brightness of the indicator light on the front of it, because it's it's acrylic case,
bright,
and it used to be really bright, and then now you can go in there and kind of tone that down if you don't want it to be so obnoxious. But they've really put a lot of time into taking the community's suggestions, even, and putting all kinds of fixes in place, and making it work with the Game Boy camera and all these crazy things that none of us would have even probably thought of
Yeah, there's a
they've
lot of
baked it all in there.
fun use cases for it. Like if you've ever just wanted to like start a fresh file on Pokemon and not lose your collection of Pokemon, you know, you can back up a save. If you aren't somebody, if you're like me and you're somebody who tries to only use games that you actually own in some fashion, but you want to play like ROM hacks or even like translation patches. That's something I've used it for a lot. Like recently I played for Frog the Bell Tolls. And I took my own Game Boy cartridge, I put it in the GB operator, I got my own ROM, and I patched it with Lunar IPS with the fan translation. And it works pretty easily. And you can play it like that too.
Yep. And the other thing I just want to point out is they've really managed to keep this affordable.
Yeah.
All things considered, I was expecting this to be, you know, significantly higher. Number one, because it seemed like they had to put a lot more work into it. And also just with the price of all electronics seemingly going up. I think the only thing that really I noticed a significant increase in was not the cost of the product, but the cost of shipping. Actually seemed like it was was more, that raised way more than the actual cost of the item.
It might not be coming from a U.S. warehouse. I'm not sure.
That could be. Either way, I am definitely looking forward to getting those. Those are shipping, I believe, in April, I think it said.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, if you go to the Epilogue website, if you just search for Epilogue, you'll find it. And you can, if you don't have a Game Boy and you're a Game Boy operator and you're interested in that, those are also still for sale as well.
It's not near as bad as Analog hitting me with $50 shipping for my 3D.
Nothing quite like that.
$50 for standard shipping. Gotta love
right. Yep. And I feel like my Game Boy operator actually got here pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, they're pretty
good. When they ship, they get them out there. So I'm assuming it'll be similar where they probably have quite a few already assembled. You know. Yeah,
they're really simple kits too, which is nice. Like it doesn't take up a lot of space. It's not a huge footprint on your.
No, it's not much bigger than the cartridge itself.
Yeah, that part is nice.
And also, in case we didn't mention it, the Game Boy one accepts Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance.
Yes,
so all can be done through there. Both, and it does, and you can, like Sam said, it's not just like US or just Europe.
It's not region locked in.
It's not region locked at all, and the Super Nintendo one is not. Or Super
it can
Famicom
also tell you if
as
you have a repro card as well.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not a Legion rocked.
Is that what I said?
You got a little tongue tie.
I did, yeah. That happens to me a lot.
Just create a new band name.
That's
Legion rocked.
Legion rocked. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, and the SNES one also will do Super Famicom carts as well. So.
Yep. Yes. So which is kind of cool because I know my local will quite often have like some of the some Japanese import stuff or people that had collected some Japanese and then turned it in and some of that stuff, and it's games that you can't always find. What's that?
Is it a billion soccer games?
The ones I see the most are usually the horse racing or casino ones. The ones that baseball, don't get released elsewhere because of gambling concerns.
Yeah.
My local for a while had a copy of Dragon Quest V. And unfortunately, the last time I was there, I didn't see it anymore. So, I should have picked it up because it really wasn't that bad priced either.
If they do a regular Nintendo one, I would like to flash all my Famicarts with English translations of the Dragon Quest games, so I could play the English ones on my Famicom.
There's a lot of very
this one
good
sells well and they can
fan translations out there, and a lot of really good games that haven't, you know, and with a few exceptions, a lot of the times those original Japanese cartridges aren't too expensive. Mother 3 is still expensive. But yeah, I mean, there's no better time to try something like For Frogs the Bell Tolls. It's not an expensive game.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm hoping that they end up doing a NES version. I mean,
what I would probably want the most
next
is something for the DS, because those games have very poor memory.
DS. Yep.
That's true. Yeah,
they're on limited time,
which is kind of crazy.
Can't open them up either very well. They're glued.
Yeah, good point.
They're really sensitive. Like, I've noticed, like, I've got DS games that, like, they just won't read very well. I have the worst luck with like having to clean them more often to get them to play. Like, even more so than a Game Boy game, you know, something older that had more pins. For whatever reason, I go to put them in my DS and it's like no game.
It's crazy. Yeah, I've had a few issues, but nothing too bad. But I'd have to remember the last time I went back to play a DS game.
DS was the first time, like, the pins were just truly exposed, you know, and it's still a time and era where we were buying games and throwing the cases away and putting them in like a book or something to keep them all in one spot. So they're just sliding in and out and are getting dusty, you know, with it being open.
Yeah.
So I can see how that happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move into our roundtable. We each have a game or a topic that we're going to kind of cover and discuss a little bit. We are going to start with Sam, who's going to talk about the 2025 RPG challenge that he undertook.
Yeah, so there was a little completion backlog challenge kind of thing that our friend Moses, the well-read mage, was running over on his Discord that I took part in. The idea was to complete 12 RPGs from your backlog. 12 RPGs you hadn't finished before, I think was the caveat. From your backlog over the course of the year of 2025. And I did come in right at the end of the year with my 12th, I think. I actually have 14 games listed here. I think I was sort of losing track at one point, and some of these I'm like, is this really an RPG? I don't know. That's always a question I have to ask because I'm that guy. Anyway,
you could just
so the games I beat in 2025 that I'd never beaten before were Revelations: The Demon Slayer for the Game Boy Color, Mega Man Battle Network 6 Cybeast Gregor. I hadn't beat that version of Mega Man Battle Network 6 before. Also not sure it's really an RPG, but whatever. Monster Hunter Wilds for the PC. Only new game on the list. Illusion of Gaia for the Super Nintendo. Metal Walker for the Game Boy Color. Power Quest for the Game Boy Color. Infinite Space for the DS. Nights in the Nightmare for the DS. The Grand Stream Saga for the PlayStation. Dokapon for the Game Boy Advance. For Frogs the Bell Tolls for the Game Boy. Etrian Odyssey Nexus for the 3DS. Castlevania Lament of Innocence for the PS2, and Mega Man X Command Mission just in time for Christmas for the GameCube.
Finished it up.
I think you just described more games than I played all year and didn't finish. That's impressive list.
Some lengthy ones on there too.
There's variety. So the really long ones there are essentially
Etrian Odyssey.
Etrian Odyssey Nexus is huge. It's like twice the length of a normal Etrian Odyssey.
Which are already long.
Yeah.
Infinite Space is probably the next longest there. Battle Network 6 was a long time too because I 100%ed it. Most of the other ones are pretty short, a lot of handheld games. So like Power Quest, for example, is really primarily a fighting game with some light RPG elements. So that was like a 2.5 hour playthrough.
In Castlevania.
Castlevania, yeah, that one's not too long.
Also questionable to be an RPG.
Yeah, the PS2 games are weird. Like I think
weird,
Symphony of the Night would count.
questionable.
Lament of Innocence is odd because you don't actually level up, but you do have stats that
Yeah.
increase. But it's mostly a function of like finding new gear.
Yeah. Definitely not as Metroid of a Metroidvania than they're more like 3D still, but just not. No, these ones are still 2D, right?
Lament of Innocence is 3D.
It's 3D. Okay, I'm trying to think of where the split happened.
So Symphony of the Night was the first
Is
EGA style,
Yeah.
Metroid style Castlevania. The last game
But
before
still
that was
2D.
Dracula X.
Yeah. I was trying to remember what's the other one? Curse of
the Moon on the Game Boy Advance.
No, not Curse of the Moon. The other
Curse
PS2
of
game.
Darkness. I
Yeah,
haven't
think
played
so.
that one.
Is that one 3D?
I
as
think
well?
it is.
Because I couldn't remember if the PlayStation 2 ones were still more Symphony-like or if they were getting closer to the PS3 era Castlevania
They're
games.
kind of in between them, I think. But I haven't
Might be
played
in
the
the
PS3
middle,
ones. But yeah, it's very like hack and
A
slash.
little more action RPG. Yeah.
Ish. Like that's pretty much it is. It still has elements, like there is exploration there, but like in Lament of Innocence at least, most of the game is like you go into a room and you have to kill all the enemies before the doors unlock and you can go to the next room.
I almost wonder, I'll have to look and see because it's been a while since I looked at these. I own them both. I wonder if it almost doesn't have like a Gauntlet Legends type feel to it with the 3D.
Except
just one player. But I mean, as far as like
only.
I
Lament of Innocence is interesting within the Castlevania timeline because it's the first game within the timeline. It is the origin story of both Dracula and Vampire Killer. So
excellent. And what would you say, like of this list? What were your highlighted games? Like what ones do you think you had the best time with?
The standouts to me, like I'm glad I played all of them, but some of these are honestly like kind of 7 out of 10 type games, which I think is still worth playing if you have the time. Obviously, there's a million games out there. You might not want to, but like I have a lot of fun playing games that are less than the best sometimes. Even like Mega Man X Command Mission, I think is very like kind of middle of the road, but it's definitely playable. And it's
I actually had a good time hopping onto
fun.
one of your streams when you were playing that, and I was like, wow, this. I mean, it looks very much like a GameCube RPG. Like it's pretty unmistakable. Just the corridors.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it blew me away, but like if what you wanted is Mega Man X in a turn-based RPG, that is what you get. So you can't complain too much. The real standouts for me are probably Etrian Odyssey Nexus. That is just I love Etrian Odyssey, and I think I may have to ramble about it in a future episode. Nexus is like the Smash Bros. Ultimate of Etrian Odyssey.
Everyone is here.
Well, it has classes from all the main games. Not every class, but it has 17 classes. And you get to subclass each of your characters too. It has returning bosses from the entire series, returning dungeons from the entire series, kind of remapped, compressed. So it is probably like 1.5 times the content of the other games because it repurposes a lot of older content. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. It really kind of just represents the pinnacle of the series. I hope that there is a 7th game, but we'll see. The last thing to come out was the HD collection, so
And
I don't know. I still
is
haven't
Nexus
finished
on that collection?
2, 3, or 5.
No.
No, it's just 1 through 3, isn't it?
No, the collection is just the DS games.
Oh, okay.
It's the first 3. So 4, 5, and Nexus, as well as Mystery Dungeon, which is a spin-off, are all on the 3DS.
They're all pretty valuable too.
And now no longer really all that easily available because the 3DS eShop is closed. They used to go on sale a lot, actually, which is why I made sure to buy them all before the shop went down. That's why I have them and haven't played them. Nights in the Nightmare was another huge... this is such a me game. This is one of those weird games from Sting that just tickles my brain. It is... Honestly, there's a lot to criticize about it because it tries to do way too many things at once. But it is a bullet hell strategy RPG bingo.
This is a Sam game.
Whatever else. Yeah. So your main character is referred to as the Wisp. That's... Well, I guess his identity is a spoiler, but it's not that far into the game. You kind of figure out what that is. But that's represented by basically like a cursor that you drag with the stylus on the bottom screen. And he can revive these ghosts of knights in order to kind of like activate them to do attacks. And so in order to do that, you actually like move the Wisp to the menu and you like drag weapons onto the knight to like charge up. All the while you're trying to dodge these bullets that enemies are shooting, not at the knights, but at the Wisp. So you have to move in a path that avoids taking damage. And yes, there is... I wasn't joking about the bingo element. Like the standard way to clear a non-boss stage is every time you beat an enemy, it adds a marker to a bingo board in the lower left corner, and you only clear the stage once you get a bingo, basically.
Is it random?
So it spawns... It's the grid corresponds to colors of the enemies, which are also their elemental attributes. And the enemies are randomized every round. And so it's actually like the entire thing is time-based instead of like an HP. You have like a time system where taking damage lowers the time left in your round. And new enemies replace the ones between rounds. So only bosses can be worn down over multiple rounds. And you basically, you kind of figure out which enemies you need to target to win. Although in some cases, you actually want to go more rounds so you can get more stuff, like get more loot from that particular chapter before you clear it. Because there's also like this weird thing going on where your knights do have HP and it drains every time they attack. And there are ways to increase their HP, but it's basically like permadeath. Like once they run out of HP, you can't use that one anymore. You'll eventually get like placeholder nameless knights if you run out. But that is another thing you kind of like. There's weird things that are punishing and poorly communicated. The tutorial is terrible. But it's one of those that like once, I just have mad respect for everything it was trying. And if you're willing to suffer through like the learning curve, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely one of a kind. But as far as other highlights, I would say for Frogs the Bell Tolls, I talked about a little bit already. But that is, for those who don't know, built on the Link to the Past engine. I kind of consider it the Link's Awakening engine, not the Link to the Past engine. The Link's Awakening engine on the Game Boy. And so I kind of consider it kind of like a weird sibling to Marvelous Another Treasure Island and a cousin to Zelda in that sense, where it's this like spin-off from a Zelda engine that's just this little unique piece of Nintendo history that I think is absolutely worth playing. And also Metal Walker. Metal Walker is a lot of fun. Yeah, another one of those that just is a weird genre mashup of like Pokemon with marbles.
Sounds reasonable.
But robots.
And why don't you also kind of... What was that?
I was going to say, I think it's the other way around, Sam. I think Link's Awakening was built off of this engine.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's the case.
Frog
it's the same engine in either
also,
case. Yeah, it might have been made
also
first.
The prince shows up in Link's Awakening, like the character.
Oh yeah, that's correct.
That's right. He does.
Yeah.
He does with frogs.
Yep.
If you want to know more about this game, I did an episode on it. For On Topic Retro.
On Topic, yes. So Sam, why don't we, before we move on, why don't you also just kind of talk a little bit about Legend of the River King, because that was your backlog game?
I forgot about this. I'm excited.
Right. So I did play a little bit of Legend of the River King 2. I should specify I don't have the first game. I have Legend of the River King 2, so that's what I played.
It's probably better.
And I got to like the third area, starting as the kid, not the teen. That's a thing in this game. You pick whether you play as the younger brother or the older brother, basically, and that changes your starting location and your starting level, actually. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It is very much a fishing game at its heart. So the fishing mechanics aren't anything crazy groundbreaking. It's kind of the standard. You equip a rod, you equip a bait or a lure, and you wait for fish to bite, and you press a button to engage, hook the fish, and then you're basically holding down to reel in and letting go when they start to pull against you, and then reeling back when they stop in order to not break your line.
It might have been groundbreaking back then.
Sorry, I almost sneezed. Yeah, that's true. But you've also got random battles when you're just walking around, which are kind of weirdly separate from everything else. Like, the only thing you get for doing these is experience points, and the only point of leveling up seems to be to get more health and attack power for more random battles. But these random enemies can steal your fish, which is a shame. And the very first...
Oh no, did we lose Sam?
I think we might have lost Sam there.
Well, he's quiet. I wonder if his mic went out.
Yeah, I think his mic might have gone out. We'll try to see if we can get him back in here in a minute. Otherwise, we'll move on and kind of come back to him if we need to. Ooh, he might be back.
Okay, I am back.
You're back.
You're back.
Sorry, loose connection on the mic. Sorry about that.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know where I got cut off, but
you were just talking about
my first fish was stolen.
Yeah, you said, unfortunately, your fish can get stolen.
Yep. The very first fish I caught was stolen by a cat before I could take it to the market, as a matter of fact.
So when you fight these random battles, what are you fighting with?
Fishing pole.
Random wildlife. So spiders, stray cats. I think by the end of the game you can fight like bears.
And you're just fighting with your pole, your fishing pole? Are you like jabbing at them?
I guess. I mean, it's very like Dragon Quest setup. You just see the enemy, and the option is just fight. So
but do you have like?
I don't know if you're just punching.
You can't equip different things, as far as you can tell.
There are no weapons.
Okay.
No. Huh. You can level up by earning experience, but the equipment is fishing rods and lures and bait.
Right. Yeah. Huh.
And fish and bug nets. So you can also catch bugs. That's like its own little mini game, not quite as in depth as the fishing.
You catch the cat
and pick flowers, which is the easiest thing to do when you have no money.
So,
yeah, it's basically the way it's structured is every area you kind of do basically a trade quest. Like the first area, it's like there's one character that wants an eel, and you give her the eel, and then you get the canoe, and then you can row to the island in the middle of the lake, and there you can catch another bug or another fish you can't catch somewhere else. Then you can give that to someone else, and then he opens up a path to the next area.
Nice.
It's all pretty much like that.
So what I'm gathering is you learn that if you squish enough spiders, you could take on a bear.
That's right.
Yes.
It's real life.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll kind of go next. So I am going to start with Luigi's Mansion, and I am probably going to make some people mad. Playing the original Luigi's Mansion, and first of all, I attempted to use my GameCube controller. I have authentic GameCube controller, not the one that they released for the Switch 2, but just an original one. And I have a third-party connector, and it's always worked. It worked well on Switch, worked well on Wii U, everything. So I figured I should be okay. I feel like I tried it when the Switch first came, or Switch 2 first came out. I played a little bit of Wind Waker, just plugging in one of the controllers, and I feel like it worked just fine. So I thought, well, I'll just try that again. That would be the preferred way to play this. I don't know if it was the game. I'm not sure if it is an update that Nintendo did that screwed something up, kind of like when they screwed up the third-party docks that you can get. But all of a sudden, it worked. Like I can move around the Switch menu. I can get into the GameCube app, and I can select Luigi's Mansion. The moment it does any kind of rumble effect, the rumble doesn't shut off. It just keeps going forever until you completely, even getting out of the app, it still continues to rumble. Every
time you use the vacuum.
That's because Luigi is always ready to rumble.
That must be it. Obviously, the game's unplayable that way. I'm like, this isn't going to work.
You still have your 3DS?
I do still have my 3DS.
You should totally buy this game for 3DS. The 3DS version is the way to go.
Okay, well that's good to know, because I ended up, obviously I couldn't play it that way, so I just decided to use my Pro Controller 2. I thought, no big deal. I do not like the controls in this game. I've learned. I do like vacuuming and stuff like that. I could get, it's a little clunky trying to aim it and everything else, but it's completely doable. What I couldn't stand was the fact that you have to basically trick the ghosts into showing their heart, and then that's what you can start vacuuming. But when you start vacuuming, so you're holding down and you're trying to follow the ghost around, but then you have to flick the second thumbstick, like flick it around a ton to actually suck up the ghost. And I felt like I was playing, I felt like I was back on the N64 playing Mario Party.
Oh gosh.
Where I was like going to wear out my hand, like trying to just jiggle this stupid thing around to suck in the ghosts.
I'm telling you, try the 3DS one. I don't remember the controls being near as divisive. Like, I know they're not like fantastic controls, but I think with the 3DS, they kind of made some changes to make it more playable.
And is it basically the same as Luigi's Mansion 2?
The controls for the first game are a little bit different. Like,
okay.
Well, I mean, on the 3DS.
Oh, I think it is more because it came out after 2 on 3DS. Right. Mm-hmm.
So I might
try to make it close.
I might try that. What I guess I didn't realize is that this game is actually a puzzle game, more than anything, because the small ghosts you could just kind of vacuum. They're no problem. But you go room to room and you have to figure out, number one, how to make the ghost appear, and then how to get them to show their heart, right? So you might have to use your vacuum to open the shades of the window, and then like a breeze blows in, and then the ghost gets flustered and shows its heart.
It's pretty good about letting you know like hints about how to do it, though. I feel like it's and it's not a real long game.
No, but I will tell you where I got hung up was the stupid baby.
Oh,
and the baby's not even that far into the game.
No,
but I could not figure out how to get the baby to show its heart, and I spent way too long trying to figure it out before I finally figured out that I could suck up the toys and kind of spit them back at him. But the problem with that is that I found you can't just like aim and shoot it back. Like you had to be close enough to him to hit him, because it doesn't really shoot the toys back. It's not like just putting the vacuum in reverse. You basically like undo the suction and it just kind of falls forward into him. Unless I'm completely missing some kind of mechanic, that's the only way I could get it to go. And with the controls being how they already are, and having to get so stinking close to them, and then I get caught in a spot in the room and damaged, and I actually died to this stupid baby. And then because it's not a modern game with lots of saves every time you go into a new room, I lost back and pretty much had to start almost from the beginning of the game, minus where you first get the vacuum, pretty much when we get the vacuum. So that was the first time, and I was like, nope. But I did come back to it, and I did eventually beat the baby, and then I was like, all right, I want to go play something else. So I don't want to give up, because I know it's not a super long game, and it is just a game that I've always like. I've heard lots of good stuff about it.
You haven't played any of them, right?
I played a little of 3. I've never played it. I've never played 2. I played a little bit of 3 because during the lockdown COVID stuff, my son borrowed it from a friend of his. They like exchanged games, and so we had it sit here for a while. And my son played probably, I'd say, half of it. Before he kind of lost interest. I played probably, I don't know, the first quarter maybe. And that one I thought the controls weren't that bad.
No, it's definitely more modernized.
But it also still, if I'm being honest, the gameplay loop just wasn't quite enough to really get me in.
It's not for everyone.
But I want to keep at it, so I'm not quite ready to throw in the towel. Maybe I'll try to look for a copy of it on the 3DS and see if that helps.
I looked it up. It's like $28 on price starting for a loose.
That's not bad.
$38 for a complete.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind having that, and I'm sure that one should be plenty easy to find. So I'll look at my local.
Yeah, and it definitely plays better. I remember breezing through it when it originally got released. I played through it again on 3DS. I don't remember having any issues controls wise.
It'd be nice to actually get my 3DS back out again anyway. That is a system I do thoroughly enjoy. So that's my Luigi's Mansion, where I'm at with that. So don't hate me. But so far it's not really clicking with me. However, a game that did, Dragon Quest HD 2D 1 and 2. I have to just kind of gush about it for a little bit. So I'm a big fan of the Dragon Quest games. I have played through the entire series of main games, minus 10, because we still have not gotten any version of 10 over here.
Nope.
Maybe now that it's the 40th anniversary. Come on. If you're not ready for 12, give us 10. It is an MMO, but there is an offline, basically single player non-MMO version that was also released in Japan. So if they give us that, I'd be thrilled. just so I could say that I played through the series. Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 will always kind of be, and 4, will always kind of be part of my childhood, and I will always have a love for them. I may never go back to play them ever again, though, now that we have these versions.
Yeah, they're so much better.
These are incredible. They have, so it's the HD 2D art style. However, it is different than like the Octopath Traveler games, which are also HD 2D, but have, so they all, even though they're all considered in this genre of art style, they look different enough. And same thing with the Bravely Default games. They look different enough that you don't feel completely like samey. These look like how I remember the NES games playing, even though they did not look like anything like this. But in my head, they were great. In fact, I played the original Dragon Quest game in black and white because I had a little, I don't know, maybe 5-inch black and white TV in my bedroom that I managed to figure out how to hook the Nintendo up to. And that is how I played Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, right?
Yeah.
That I got the copy from Nintendo Power. And that is how I played that game multiple times to completion. But it is as if somebody took the rough drafts that those games were and turned them into an epic trilogy. The Dragon Quest II has always been my least favorite game in the series, and they managed to add so much story and so much charm into Dragon Warrior 2. I think that game probably got the biggest makeover of the three. And now it's certainly not my least favorite anymore. It shot up.
It was always kind of the most divisive one, I feel like.
Yeah. Yep. It was, I couldn't believe what they did. I mean, just to get me to completely change my mind on that game. They made it so that there was always a loose tie, or like not a loose tie, because the first three are all tell a cohesive story, sort of, originally. 1 and 2, well, 2 is the sequel to 1, but 3 is actually a prequel to 1. And so that's just always kind of how it was. But if you just played them back in the NES, you could be forgiven for not really knowing that if you were just kind of playing them.
Hard to find in the original games,
right? And yet here, it is a complete story. There is tons added in so that it makes sense. And there's references, like they constantly referencing the other games. So even at the end of 3, they really highlight what's to come in 1 and 2 in a way that makes sense. And then at the end of 2, I don't want to give anything away, but it brings you full circle. And just, it gave me goosebumps when I finished 2, because it was like, wow, they pulled that off. So if you have never played the Dragon Quest games and you are into turn-based, I'd say these are really good. You can play 1 and 2 without playing 3, but because of the way they did the story here, you are going to miss out on quite a bit, and you kind of spoil a lot of 3 if you haven't played it. So I would say either play 11 or play 3, 1, and 2 if you're going to get into the series.
Well, I have 11 downloaded.
Yes.
So Yeah, I intend to give it its due. I want a nice palate cleanser. I've played a lot of long RPGs, so I'm gonna wait. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
I've long expected that I have long suspected I would like Dragon Quest. I mean, there's a pattern. Though RPGs are often hit or miss for me. I mean, you see that how much I like Octopath Traveler, how much I like Etrian Odyssey. Both of those games are very consciously old school RPGs, and Dragon Quest has stayed very, at least so far, has stayed very true to its roots in a way that, say, Final Fantasy has not.
So there's some talk. There was some chatter when 12 was first announced.
Is it a deviate?
They made it sound like the comments being made were kind of like, oh, we'd like to modernize.
It's like they're trying to tell you this isn't your dad's Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I don't think that's what anybody wants.
That's what they did with Final Fantasy, and the sales and the reception of the modern Final Fantasy games, I hope, is enough to kind of make them maybe perhaps change their mind. Now I've heard some things that is not anything directly from Square Enix, but I have heard some things that like, oh, they may have meant just modernizing the system so that you're not spending quite so much time in menus, like streamlining some of the menu stuff, but that the core will still feel very Dragon Quest, still be turn-based, not adding any kind of action element into it. And there could be some truth to that because the Dragon Quest VII demo of that game, the reimagined version of that game, just dropped. I played through that like within a couple days. I also recommend that because you play quite a bit of the beginning of that game, and it went further than I expected. I put about 5 hours into it, I think, and it carries over to the full game, which I do appreciate that a lot of the Square Enix demos do. But you can see where they have streamlined a lot of the menuing and everything with that game, but it still feels very true to the Dragon Quest games. So I'm hopeful that maybe that is what we might see in 12, and that the heart will still be very Dragon Quest. The other thing, they kind of made it sound like they wanted to modernize the story a little bit, and I don't want that's what Final Fantasy did. We went from more of a fantasy setting to steampunk to kind of more modern age with some fantasy elements. Yeah. It's like urban fantasy, maybe. I don't know.
Urban fantasy.
I don't know what else to call it. I don't need Dragon Quest to do that. I like that Dragon Quest has remained firmly in the fantasy.
Well, and it doesn't make sense. They're both being developed by Square Enix. Why would you want two franchises going in the same direction?
Correct.
Where Dragon Quest has always been a traditional RPG, and Final Fantasy migrated to action.
Yes, 100%. So Dragon Quest is, along with like every other game you can possibly imagine, celebrating an anniversary this year. It is celebrating its 40th anniversary. They have come out and said that we will get Dragon Quest news and things. So we're getting 7 here in just a month.
Yeah, real quick.
Less than a month, beginning of February. And I would anticipate we're going to, at the very least, get news of 12. But I also would not be sad at all if they did 4, 5, and 6, announced 4, 5, and 6 in a similar
I almost wonder if we're not
HD 2D style.
8 again first.
Or 8, do 8 in the style similar to
7.
Well, I don't know if you'd really need to, because 7, the original version, Dragon Warrior 7 on PlayStation, felt very much like a continuation of the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom versions of those games. It was, overhead. You were looking down on your party from an overhead perspective. It felt very similar to those, and 8 already is 3-dimensional. So
I could see him doing it though.
I don't know if you would, or if that would be our time.
Well, they did it on 3DS that way too. They did 7 and then 8.
They did 7, but 8 still held similar to how it looked on PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I don't know that the graphically will be all that much different, but I could see him porting a version of 8 to modern consoles.
Yeah, I think that's very possible, especially if these sell well. And like I said, I could see them at least announcing 4, 5, and 6 in the HD 2D style. I would love to get news on 10 coming over. But honestly, I'm trying to temper my expectations and just kind of like what they give us and appreciate that their current remakes of these games do not just feel like a port. Because even the 3DS stuff, 4 got a pretty graphical and changed that game quite a bit. But DS, not 3DS, DS versions. The rest, though, really wasn't. The 5 and 6 really weren't that different. They really were ports with changed up a little bit. We also could get 9. I mean, 9 is stuck on the DS.
Yeah, I think they want it to stay there.
It could be. That one's kind of divisive, but it's not bad. There's a lot of good there. They kind of did like similar to what you have with 3, where you get your party is like a blank slate. Like you can create all their characters. They're not really predetermined. And so that could be fun if you enjoy that.
They'd have to rebuild the online portions of it.
Yeah, but that would be, I would think, fairly easy to do on Switch. Now that's one I feel like they could do in the same style that they're doing 7 in. So, but
it's crazy. Like I hope they have a lot more news on 12. Like that seems like
it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Which makes me think maybe if they were trying to go one direction and then maybe backed up, changed their mind.
I mean, you know how long it's been since 11 came out now?
I probably longer than I want to know, but that was towards the beginning of. I was going to say that was.
Well, since 11 or since 11S Echoes of an
since 11.
Definitive
since 11
edition.
came out was 2017.
Yeah, because it's been probably. I think it was the Switch's second year that.
2019 is when we got it on Switch.
Okay, yeah, 2019. So even
19.
that's been a while. Yeah, wow. And 12 was announced pretty soon after
21 maybe.
Okay.
I'd have to look that up.
And
I think it's similar or close to that.
Yeah. So, they're keeping
21.
the brand alive, and I could appreciate that, and not just right now, not just doing like just ports, but actual upping the games, elevating the games to make it worthwhile. So
I mean, that was announced 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, there's got to be. I think we definitely. I don't know that it releases this year, but I think we definitely get information about it this year for sure.
And it was one of those where, I mean, you got to think that they started developing after 11, right? So it already should have been like at least 3 years in development, and the only thing we got was a logo.
Yeah, we haven't seen
it's a
even a screenshot.
4.
Yeah,
all over again.
Jeez, we know how that's kind of worked out so far.
All you have is a logo. The game isn't real.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was.
They said it's still working. I think one of the last things they said about it was that that they were doing some play testing. So if they're in the play testing phase, it's possible we could get it this year or next year. I'm hoping it's on Switch 2, not necessarily Switch 1.
I think it will be on Switch 2.
Because that will make it a little bit closer with the the PlayStation, because I'm sure it'll be PlayStation and Switch, I'm guessing, because Square Enix is pretty much not doing exclusives anymore, they've said. So they want to get it out there. It'll be on Steam too as well, of course.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. So it used to be they say whatever the most popular system was, that's the one that was going to get the Dragon Quest. Yep. But I think now it'll just be multi-platform. So
and I think now we're so close architecture-wise for most games.
Yeah.
I think, or most platforms, you can pretty much make the game work for everything in some capacity, as long as the platform has the power to run it, which I would assume the Switch 2 being able to run Final Fantasy VII Remake can probably run Dragon Quest 12. They're usually not as graphically demanding as
correct.
Well, I do remember one reason I put off playing Dragon Quest 11 for so long was the PC version had really bad controller support, and the PC controls were not good.
I remember hearing
because
that.
it was on Game Pass. It was on PC Game Pass, and I was like, I'll just play it on PC Game Pass. But then I didn't like playing it on PC Game Pass, but then I didn't want to pay full price for it. So I was just kind of like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah. So, all right, that's the end of my gushing over Dragon Quest. I even went well beyond the 1 and 2 HD 2D, but that's how much I love the series. So John, what have you got for us?
Well, I can give at least a quick update on Wario Land. I think I'm 2/3 of the way through it. It's not real long either.
How are your eyes?
Yeah.
So I started playing on the Virtual Boy first, and I can't do very long periods of time. So I have been emulating it as well. Still play my Virtual Boy every once in a while, but I do own Wario Land Virtual Boy physically, so I don't care to emulate. It doesn't bother me any.
Yep.
But no, it's definitely more Wario shenanigans. I like the setting, and I like the mashing up of power-ups that you can do. It is weird that it's I guess it's the first Wario where you actually take damage as Wario, because I believe that the first, I guess really it's an odd statement. There's more games where Wario does take damage now. But when you play the first game, he doesn't. He's invulnerable, So I couldn't remember how that was going to go down, which way it was going to lean.
I thought the first game
didn't you have?
He did.
Yeah, don't you have heart system?
But every game after that,
or maybe I'm thinking
it basically is a power.
Maybe I'm thinking it's reverse. Maybe you do take damage. Maybe this is the last game
because the first game has normal power ups like the garlic that gives you the Viking helmet and the dragon hat and stuff.
Okay, yes. So this one has a lot of the same power ups. I guess I'm thinking about it inversely. I guess the later games you don't take damage. But in this one you still do. So it's kind of getting around some of that. And the Virtual Boy controls are very limited. I guess the same as the Game Boy. It's probably the exact same Game Boy controls as the original game, now that I think about it. Lots of secrets. Lots of, breakable things that you can figure out and unlock passages, and tons of collectibles. It's still a fun. It's Wario Land. It's just very red. But I've been enjoying it. I've been taking it a little bit at a time. I've been playing other things in between, but like I said, I think I've defeated 2 or 3 bosses now. I should be getting close to the last. I think I'm on maybe stage 10 out of 14 or so.
Is it a shorter game than the Game Boy versions?
I don't know if it's shorter than the original Game Boy game, but it's short. It's I I think like 4 hours.
Well, yeah,
5
because
hours.
anything more than that, you'd burn your eyes out, and they'd
it
have a
has
lawsuit.
it has built-in brakes. After you've beat so many levels, in between the levels, it's like a built-in brake it makes you take.
Your game save
like
drops
the
you
3DS
out,
did
turns it
that a
off.
lot.
Yeah. Well, it just has like a little graphic of Wario farting around, and says it says required brake or whatever. But no, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's definitely one that I've wanted to play through for a long time and just put it off. I think it's just so off-putting to play it on original hardware before I had the ability to emulate it. But yeah, I like it. It's fun.
Excellent.
The other thing I think that I would like to talk about is not retro related, but it is gaming, and it's a newer game that came out, and my son and I have been playing co-op, and it's something that reminded me a lot, because I just got done with Metroid, and this is kind of more Metroid but co-op. And it's really funny because it's a game that got recommended on IGN, their games of the year list that were non-Nintendo. And it's Revenge of the Savage Planet. And it's a really slapstick RPG, or not an RPG, a adventure game where it's likened to Metroid Prime, where you scan like everything on these weird planets to like figure out how to use things, and it's got like a weird capturing mechanic where you have to capture the animals to study them to get abilities and things. Like it's bonkers. And my son and I have been playing through it for probably the last week or week and a half or so. And we'll put like an hour in a couple times a week. I think we're probably like halfway through it, is what I feel like. And the plot's really funny. Like you work for this corporation that sends you out to these planets, but the only way you can get there, they can't teleport you, because every time they try to teleport a living matter, it just like explodes into goo. They could teleport items to this place that are non-carbon based, so they have to freeze you, and it takes 100 years to get there. So you get there and you find out that the company that sent you there went out of business in that time frame, and so like there's all kinds of craziness. They get bought out by another company that's supposed to be really bad, and so you're like trying to solve this mystery of why the other corporation has taken over, and they've like dropped a bunch of junk on these planets, and like you're trying to find information to put together a case to go against them. At the same time, you're trying to figure out how to build put together something to go back home. But
See, I'm just thinking Pikmin.
It's
now.
kind of like, well, I guess the setting would be like Pikmin.
From the plot stuff.
Yeah, the plot stuff is more like Pikmin. But yeah, no, the game is like, it's like Metroid, but you get way more power-ups. Like you're constantly upgrading things. Like you can get up to a quadruple jump. You get a zip line feature that's like the grapple hook for Metroid, except for you can use it anywhere. You don't have to, like, after a while you can use it anywhere. There are grapple points to start off with, but the game is a lot of fun in co-op because you can do a lot of things together. Like you can separate and explore the planet at different times, but then come back together whenever you're trying to fight a boss or something. And there's just so many little quirky things about it. We've had so much fun playing it, so I thought it'd be interesting to bring up. I know it's not a retro game, but it's what
what system?
my time into. I think it's on anything but Switch 2. The first game is on Switch. I think it was called Journey to the Savage Planet.
Yeah.
And this is just the sequel to that, which from what I can tell is just pretty close to the same game, just more of it in different planets.
All right.
We've been playing it on PS5, but I know it's probably on everything, probably Steam and Xbox.
Maybe eventually Switch too.
Yeah, hopefully. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, well, let's move into Community Couch. We got 3 questions here. I think we can get through these pretty quickly. I know we're going a little long, but I do appreciate the community leaving us questions. You can always drop a line in, ask us questions, anything in our Community Couch part of the Discord. So the first one comes from Solo, and I think Sam is probably the only one qualified to really answer this, but which story overall are you liking more, Octopath 0 or Octopath 1? You positive or indifferent to the inclusion of the town of, is it Wishvale feature?
Wishvale,
okay.
Yeah. Actually, this go around, I can definitively say, because I finished Octopath 0 in between the last time we tried to record this episode. And I might be in the minority here. I would say Octopath 1. I know a issue a lot of people had with Octopath 1 was that the stories... Well, there's the claim that the stories are not interconnected. They actually are. It's not very explicit, and a lot of people didn't know about the hidden super boss, or couldn't beat the hidden super boss. Although, actually, you get all this stuff if you make it to that boss. You
got all the
find out
beats
some of the
then.
connections there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Octopath tells these smaller scale, more personal stories. I realize some people really want that, like fate
Epic
of the world,
story.
over the top, dramatic stuff. 0 definitely will be more satisfying to them because it is 100% a Final Fantasy type of story. The story is essentially centered on the villains. They are very evil, very intimidating, and several of them are basically Final Fantasy villains as well. Halfway through the game, you will be introduced to totally not Kefka and totally not Gestalt. And even the final boss is basically totally not Sephiroth. That's at least my take on him. So yeah, I mean, so different things for different people. I think Octopath's strength was that it told these smaller stories. I think I mentioned last time one of my favorite character stories in the first game was Alphen's, which really, the final boss of that chapter is just like some random bird monster because it inhabits the mountain you need to go to get this herb to heal somebody.
Because he was the medic.
But the real conflict of the story is this idea of like, hey, this guy's a murderer. Are you still going to heal him when he's sick? And I thought that was way more interesting than, the evil emperor is going to invade our country,
right?
And we need to stop him because he's evil.
It's definitely at least different.
A lot of moral choices, and it's in the name of the game. Like when you take away the structure of how Octopath works and its origins, like you almost need to name it something different because that's the only reason why that game is named that.
Well, it's never been a great name.
That's what I'm saying. Like
it's a better name than Triangle Strategy.
Yes. I mean, that's their naming convention, but they could have easily made this a different game, I think.
But as far as Wishvale, I do appreciate the inclusion of it. At times, I wondered if there was going to be more to it because it's like a town you have to rebuild. But that actually is the driving kind of pulse of the story that makes it something beyond your player character, who's a custom character, just reacting to things villains do. Is like your actual positive goal is to rebuild the town of Wishvale. And it is really kind of sweet when you reach the point where, because you're introduced to it in the prologue before it gets destroyed. Spoilers for the prologue, but if you played the demo. And it is really nice to see by the end of the game, it's bigger than it was at the beginning.
That's nice.
And that's kind of cool.
I know in Bravely Default, there is a similar mechanic where you are rebuilding a town, and it's really there because you're supposed to. That's how they were trying to do their social at the time. The when you were, what's the, oh man, it's getting late. What's the pass when you pass other people with 3DSs? Street Pass. Thank you. That was kind of tied to their Street Pass. With Switch, it's just connected to you if you have other friends playing, but you can also just find ghost players just in the world, in the towns, and you can send them to help rebuild the town. It always feels kind of tacked on to me, even in the Switch 2 version of the game, because number one, you never actually visit this town in the game. Like, your characters can't go. It's a hometown. It's the hometown of the main character, one of the main characters, but it's destroyed before you actually even play a moment of the game. And then you redo it, and you can get, by redoing it, you get supplies sent to you, and you can shop from the menu. You can shop, but you physically do not interact with this town. As far as your characters, you can't walk around the town or anything like that. And so I think that it doesn't have much impact to me because, like you said, unlike in Octopath, you never actually see that town to start with. And you don't walk around.
That's
anyway.
The interesting thing too, with Zero being a remake of Champions of the Continent, which was the mobile game. It's been a long time since I played Champions of the Continent. I didn't play all the way through everything because it was updated over time, and I just didn't play the new updates after a certain point. And I believe Wishvale existed. Maybe it wasn't called Wishvale. I remember there being a town you had to rebuild. But it was just kind of there as like a random thing.
Yeah, and that's how it is.
Whereas in Octopath Zero, this is your main character's hometown, and you watch it get completely wiped out by the first three main villains at the start of this. Like, it is the heartbeat of the story. Right. So there's definitely a lot of incentive to want to rebuild it.
All right. Moving on. Eric Plunk said, what game or game series would you most like to see given the Digital Eclipse historical documentary treatment? So for me, I would say, it'd be really nice to get like the black box NES games done this way. I don't know that, number one, Nintendo would not like be on board for this at all anyway. And even if they were, I don't know that the story behind it would be all as exciting as we really would want it to be. When you play the Atari collection and you're watching all the documentary parts, there's no holding back. There's no censorship. They're talking about the early days of developing and running Atari and, doing all sorts of interesting things, in the office and stuff. I won't get into it any more than that, but if you're curious, the Atari collection does talk a little bit more about that. Just, you might not want to play the documentary parts necessarily in front of young kids. But so I think for me, I would go maybe like the Capcom, like Disney games, so you got like of course you got the Disney Afternoon stuff, but you also got games like the Lion King and Aladdin stuff, but also you could put on there like the what are all the different Mickey games that they did too. There's quite a few.
Yeah, like
Magical Quest and
stuff like what's it called?
I know, I'm trying to remember them all. There's
Cold Shadow. Maui Mallard.
Yes,
and Cold Shadow.
Not even just Mickey, but like Donald or Donald's alter egos, and so there's just a lot of games, and I think that would be kind of one that I'd like to see a collection of, and if we could get kind of like, it might be interesting to hear the documentary part about working with Disney to get these licenses and everything. So that's my pick. What about you, Sam?
Well, I gave this answer last time, and it's still in my mind because I already talked about Nights in the Nightmare. And so Nights in the Nightmare is, interestingly enough, part of a series with 4 actually released games in it. Or maybe only 3? Yes. So it's 4. It's called the Department Heaven series, developed by Sting, published by Atlas. And so interestingly enough, Nights in the Nightmare is subtitled as episode 4.
Going
the other 2 games, the other 4 games that were released are, episodes 1 and 2 came out before it. That's Riviera, the Promised Land, and Yggdra Union. Those are GBA games that came out before. Episode 3 is a canceled but planned PC MMORPG. Episode 9, we just skipped 5 through 8. Episode 9 is Gungnir for the PSP. So, given how insane Nights in the Nightmare is, I just want to know what they were cooking for episodes 5 through 8.
Well, it's funny that that 3 never came out, but they still named the next one 4. Even though 3 was canceled and never released.
That's what happened to 5 through 7.
I don't know if it's just like a lore thing that they like had this whole big like arc. Well, the other weird thing is I think I tried looking into like what the actual connections between them are. They take place in like parallel dimensions anyway. But even then, there's like a couple characters that show up a couple times. And Nights in the Nightmare actually takes place before the other games anyway. So I don't know why it's episode 4.
It sounds a lot like Ogre Battle or the Ogre series. Like their subtitles are like game, like installment 7 or 8, and there's only 3 of them. So
yeah,
and then it makes sense now because the way you were describing, I own Nights in the Nightmare, but I haven't played it. But the way you were describing some of the things reminded me of Yggdra Union, and I've played a little bit of that on GBA, and I have Riviera, but I have not played it.
I actually want to say there's some connection there. Like I think the guys at Sting were either just really big fans of Ogre Battle, or they actually like worked on the first Ogre Battle.
They're similar in that they're tactical RPGs, but I feel like they are more akin to, well, at least Yggdra Union is very similar, more movement style is similar to like a Fire Emblem. But the attack system is way different. Like you don't have actual, you have actual characters, but they don't, like they fight in a manner like Ogre Battle where they automatically fight, and you don't control their attacks turn-based wise. They automatically attack on a grid, similar to Ogre Battle.
Excellent.
It's a different. I love the art style. That's what drew me in originally. But it's definitely a different.
It is. It's very distinct because it's like a chibi art style, but then it's also got this weird, like, kind of gothic aesthetic going at the same time.
Almost
kind of clashes with itself.
So, John, do you have a series that you would?
I was thinking about it because I forgot to read through these, but I think it'd be kind of cool to get a docu game on Ultimate Play the Game, which is what became rare. Some of the early arcade stuff that they were putting out, like Jetpack and Saberwolf, and just some of the early games that because I learned about these games through Donkey Kong 64. Weirdly. But as a kid, like I loved Jetpack, playing through that. And then I was like, oh, this is actually an arcade game. I just thought this was like a part of, like, I thought it was something they made up for Donkey Kong 64, because I was not very old teenager, not even thinking about it. And they were making a lot of games for ZX Spectrum and Commodore and just all these old original gaming PCs that were out there, mostly British. I think it would be kind of cool to get to see, what led them to become rare, and then like all the things that went into the development of these original arcade games. There might be some of that stuff out there on the Rare Replay. I don't know how detailed it gets. I've never actually like popped in there and played it.
Certainly, I don't think that there's documentary.
Probably not
style.
Documentary stuff. There's probably some text-based historical data in there, but nothing like that. I think it would be kind of cool to see the background of that.
Excellent. Good choice. All right. Let's see if we can kind of quick round this last question. Chris HL wanted to know, he said he's looking to take better advantage of his Switch Online Plus expansion pass subscription. What games do you recommend I get into? I think if we just name one or two, just quick fire them off here. So I do know Chris is somebody who likes, he does like beat 'em ups. I've played different beat 'em ups with him, but I know he's probably played a lot of them. But what else? He's also played like all the Zeldas and stuff like that already. So what's your guys' picks?
Sin and Punishment.
Sin and Punishment. All right.
I always say Vice Project Doom, especially if you're a fan of Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
But I also mentioned Starfy earlier. Mm-hmm. All the Starfy games are on the GBA.
Good call.
Well, all except the DS game. So they are still in Japanese, but I've played the first one. You can find your way through. You can figure out contextually. There's usually only like two directions to go, and somebody will yell at you if you're going the wrong way, and you'll eventually figure out that you need to go the other way.
Well, and if worst comes to worst, you can use your phone to do some quick translating on the spot if you do get stuck. I am just going to say, even though I don't think this is a very Chris game, I am just going to put my things out there for Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, which just dropped onto the GameCube. It is my favorite Fire Emblem game. It is extremely expensive to buy a copy for a GameCube. So here is your chance. This is the first Fire Emblem game I played. I think it's got one of the better stories, more compelling stories.
They don't make them like that.
They do not
anymore.
make them like this anymore. It can be challenging, but I feel like it's not like over the top hard just to be hard. It's you can get, I think you might have to play it on hard to get like the hardest difficulty if you're really into that. But if you're familiar with Fire Emblem games, it's not going to be the most difficult game you played.
It's just Radiant Dawn that did the weird thing with translating easy mode out of normal mode. Yes.
Right? Okay. This is should be exactly what you would think.
Yeah, for some reason, when the difficulties were always called normal, hard, and lunatic in Japanese, they decided to change that to easy, normal, and hard on Radiant Dawn, which is one contributing factor to why it's considered the hardest game in the series. Right. Because a lot of people were playing it on hard and didn't realize.
Correct.
Since Dan's gone, I'll make his. He needs to go play Chibi Robo.
There you go. In fact, I think when we tried to do this episode the first time, I think he did throw out Chibi Robo. So that was a good call, John. All right. So thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads Family podcast. If you like what you hear, you can check out Dan on Blue Sky at retrologicgames.bluesky.social. You'll find him. He's got a beard. He's got sunglasses. You're also welcome to jump into our friendly and 100% non-toxic Discord community. There's some great giveaways that John is doing right now. So come on in.
Friday.
Yep. The link to that is in Dan's Blue Sky bio. It should also be on the website too. I believe it should be a way to get in there as well.
In the show notes.
And the show notes, correct. So please come on by. It's awesome. We talk about everything from retro games to why pineapple should or shouldn't be on pizza. So you can find it all on there. You can also find everything on their website, just like I said. I think that's it, guys.
We did it.
We did it. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.